I mentioned earlier in today's program that the 9 papers have published a story today about the Australian Breastfeeding Association investigating a number of volunteers who may have been guilty of, wait for it, excessive use of words like mother and women. Well, Jasmine Sussex was a volunteer counsellor with the Australian Breastfeeding Association for 15 years before she was accused of hate speech for saying that only women breastfeed. Jasmine joins me now. Jasmine, thank you so much for joining me. This story was crazy when we discussed it some weeks ago, and it's no less maddening today when it appears on the front page of The Age. Do you think sanity will prevail, or will those who want to counsel breastfeeding mums be forced to use non-gendered language?
Yeah, great question. I can only hope that sanity will prevail. Definitely there is a lot of mother-to-mother language used within the Breastfeeding Association, but that hasn't stopped management from pursuing 7 of us for using that, taboo word. And certainly there's still a small group of activists within the association who are very triggered by the word mother.
Well, you would think if you're triggered by the word mother, you wouldn't be joining the Australian Breastfeeding Association, but, that's just me. Now, the papers report that the complainants who sparked these investigations, the activists there, said that this language caused them harm, and they believed, and I quote, the near obsessive use of the word mother suggests that others are not welcome in the ABA. What's your response to that?
It's just hard to follow as a logical position. If any of these counsellors had read the Constitution or the Code of Ethics or any of ABA's founding documents, they would see that it's full of the word mother. That's the truth. So, it just seems like a small group had a bit of a tantrum when they wanted to use gender-inclusive language and make it the Parent Feeding Association instead of the Breastfeeding Association. And when they were told no, they launched all these complaints against the key users of the word mother. And, that's how we ended up where we are today, unfortunately. So
it's a sad situation, and we've got now dozens of association members, including 2 former board members, who've said the treatment of people like yourself and the other 6 women was just absolutely outrageous, and they've called these complaints frivolous and unjustified. Where do you stand now? Is your 15-year association with the Breastfeeding Association over, or do you still have hopes of helping more women breastfeed successfully?
Yeah, I always have hope. It's been pretty heartbreaking to watch the Breastfeeding Association really torture itself to try and appease this tiny minority of counsellors who probably really would be better working in another organisation than in the Breastfeeding Association. So, we can only hope that the Breastfeeding Association will focus back on what's important, which is mothers who, are calling the helpline today, they've got COVID, they need help, no one will come and see them in their homes. So, they need to be able to get through on the helpline, and would probably help if the ABA hadn't have sacked a whole load of long-term breastfeeding counsellors so we could answer those phone calls.
Well, I commend you, Jasmine, because you've devoted so much of your own time, 15 years as a volunteer, helping women with something that is crucially important. Nothing more important for a new mum than having that successful bond with their child, and successfully breastfeeding can be a large part of that. And to have this happen to you, I am terribly sorry, and I do hope sanity prevails. Jasmine, thank you for joining me tonight.